Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to the finale of Hearts of Iron 3. Unfortunately, I have restarted this game 5 times, and it has crashed every single time. I haven't been able to play more than 20 minutes after September 11th, 1942, and I don't know why. It may be the Soviets liberating Poland. That always seems to be sort of the kickoff of when the crash happens. If it takes the Soviet Union longer to liberate Poland, the crash delays. But as soon as they take Poland back, man, it's like a few days and it is done. So I didn't want to leave this series. If you saw my video last week, you know I hate leaving things undone, and I absolutely hate leaving Hearts of Iron 3 behind. We've invested, you know, a lot of weeks into this thing, and we're doing quite well. We've built up our army. We've stayed out of trouble. We are alive 6 years into the game. I mean, that's pretty incredible stuff. But what I'll do is I'll talk about my thoughts coming from Hearts of Iron 4 to here in Hearts of Iron 3. Now, Hearts of Iron 4, the version I played was the release version. We're talking day one, not patched, nothing version of Hearts of Iron 4. That's the fascist Iraq playthrough. That's on my channel, and one of my most watched videos ever. In fact, the most watched video ever is episode 1 of that playthrough. So I can't speak to the new mechanics of Hearts of Iron 4, the fuel mechanic and all that other stuff that was added post-patch, because quite frankly, I haven't played it. I haven't had time, and I was wanting to do that for my ongoing mega campaign series that's in Europa Universalis right now, hoping to get that converted to Victoria and then hoping to get that converted to Hearts of Iron 4, but we will see. But as far as being a puppet state, this really held us back, and I know this is just being this country. If we were an overlord or an independent, our game would have looked completely different. That's the point of Paradox games, is no, the countries are not equal. Depending on who you play, that is a, you know, it's a roadblock. If you play someone like Iraq, who is not on the forefront of war technology, or one of the major powers of World War II, not, you know, over here in Europe in the bloody fighting and all that other stuff, you know, you're going to have a completely different play style, and that's what we had opposed to someone who jumped in as the United Kingdom or Germany. That is for sure. So the diplomacy aspect, I can't speak on because we were not able to use it. We are a puppet. We can't do anything. We can't negotiate anything ourselves. So that, I can't speak to that. So next, production. I like the amount of production we could do, despite our little country. It made sense. I kind of like the Hearts of Iron 4 layout better, where you can see the factories that are being used to make those certain things. You could set certain factories to make certain things and make multiple things. But our industrial capacity, you can see we got it up to 12, but we were able to run only 5 the entire game because, once again, puppet state. All of our energy was sucked away from our overlord, and we were never really able to pump out a lot of things. Like we didn't have that industrial wartime complex that you could easily do with Germany. So, you know, production makes sense. You know, the balancing of consumer goods and all the sliders. I like the streamlining. You've got your consumer factories in Hearts of Iron 4, and you've got your military factories. Instead of your entire industrial capacity, and you split it 5 ways, and, you know, they're all vying for the same attention. I like the way that Hearts of Iron 4 does it. You know, call me crazy. The purists of Hearts of Iron 3 would say that that's easy mode. You should have, you know, one set industry in your country, and what are you going to spend it on? I could see that point for sure. Technology, I mean, a lot of branches to study, a lot of tabs, you know, very Hearts of Iron for sure. Which way do you go down? We were able to research quite a bit. We didn't need that many officers because we didn't have that big of army, and we didn't focus at all on diplomacy because we couldn't make any decisions ourselves. Espionage and spies, I'm not really into the spy game and the whole, like, seeing what the other people have sort of deal. it made sense to really focus on research, and that's what we did, researching 3 things at a time and then another one at 1/3 speed. You know, we were able to knock out a lot of cool stuff and actually get our units upgraded. Our infantry are much better than they were starting out for sure. They've got 1938s, 1936s, and most of them have desert warfare equipment. And I think if we had to go toe-to-toe with these French troops over here, they could hold their own. I would like to believe that. There's no way to tell, because by the time France falls and we get over there, the game is going to crash. So there's no way for me to deal with that. Politics. I like all the ministers. I do like the cabinet. I like the idea that they can each have individual ideologies. Hearts of Iron 4 sort of watered it down with, do you want a communist? Do you want a democratic? The democratic, the blue. Or do you want the fascists? And it was pretty straightforward. You didn't have this mix matching of all these different guys with all these different bonuses. I kind of wish Hearts of Iron 4 got into this kind of depth as far as your cabinet and who's in charge and what they do. And all the laws are interesting as well, rather than having a clear-cut, service by requirement and then, scraping the barrel with all these different world tension restrictions. I like the differentiation. I like, the different choices. I think Hearts of Iron 4 could expand those choices a bit. Intelligence, we didn't get into at all. We had no spies. We didn't care. I'm sure if we had focused a lot of time in the spies, this would have done something, saying increasing the threat for a certain country or supporting the rebels. There's a lot of good, fun things that you can do here, but we had to research. We had to stand up. We were way behind the times as far as the infantry goes, and quite frankly, we needed research before we needed spies. So that's why I did that. Statistics. I mean, we can see where we line up in the grand scheme of things. Of course, there's the ledger that Paradox Games are known for, and all their numbers and spreadsheets. I always like to look at those. It really opens up a country to see what they're doing. The map modes are okay. The terrain and the simplified terrain help a ton. I didn't really use the terrain map mode in Hearts of Iron 4 as much, even if there even is a terrain map mode. I'm not exactly sure. But I like the fact that knowing that we've got desert warfare equipment, all of this is our oyster. We could run amok in here and wreck faces. The weather is cool. I don't remember weather playing a role at all in Hearts of Iron 4 with precipitation, mud, frozen. Temperature does. You definitely don't want to get attrition going through the northern Soviet Union in wintertime, that is for sure. But it sort of looks like it is more prevalent in Hearts of Iron 3. Revolt risk, Diplomat mode, all the good stuff that the other game has. Supply drove me nuts in Hearts of Iron 4. Going to it today, I think I would understand it better. I like the unit structure. I like the hierarchy. I like knowing that there's a headquarters, HQ, which is in charge of an army, which are in charge of divisions, which are in charge of, units. Being a vet myself, I like the chain of command and all those different bonuses. So instead of having just your field marshals and your generals passing those bonuses down, having your HQ passed down to your corps, passed down to your battalions, down to or your brigades, to your battalions, to your companies, to your units. Like, you get the whole thing, and I like that. I really do. I wish it was more involved in Hearts of Iron 4 as far as army structure and the chain of command. I do miss the battle lines. I miss having the AI line up automatically right along the border when I tell them to invade and say, you are going to push to the coast, get ready, and they all do. Like, I really like that aspect of being sort of a commander, laying out my map and saying, this is what I want my troops to do. Generals execute. I like that high level for sure. But overall, I could see where Hearts of Iron 3 was extremely fun, and you could put a lot of hours into it. I'm spoiled by the sprites. The counters sort of throw me off, but these are, NATO recognized. The military Commander would have no problem identifying all of these symbols and all these things and knowing exactly what this is, but I didn't study all of this stuff. I jumped in with Hearts of Iron 4 knowledge rather than Hearts of Iron 3, so I wouldn't know what I would be up against if I was in this melee for sure. I just throw stuff at it and be like, oh crap, I'm losing, why? All the different resources that you're keeping in tow, similar to Hearts of Iron 4 with your tungsten, your aluminum, and your fuel now. All of that makes sense. I think resources are good to manufacture your stuff. You need certain things to manufacture. You need oil to run your stuff, fuel to, oil to turn into fuel to power, fuel your how many more times can I say fuel? Your equipment. I mean, that's a necessary thing. When you run out of supplies and all of your tanks just stop running in the middle of the country, that's a pretty big deal. And then for, the Soviet Union, who relies on total manpower and they won't have to worry about fuel so much, aside from like their tanks. But then you've got Germany that would really have to worry about fuel because of their all their tanks. And I mean, it's just so deep. I could see the many hours getting out of this game. But unfortunately, this game will not allow us to have any more hours in this particular playthrough, and I don't think I'm going to come back to Hearts of Iron 3 if I'm honest. I'm sort of spoiled. I want to play Hearts of Iron 4. If I want to go back to World War II, I want to do Hearts of Iron 4. Call me spoiled, call me console, call me casual, whatever you want to call me. Feel free. But I won't be coming back to this. Great game in its time. I could see why fans wanted a new version, and I could kind of see why they were upset at Hearts of Iron 4. If Hearts of Iron 4 can include the things that made this game great, I think we would have a worthy successor for sure. Is it there right now? I mean, I think so, but then again, I'm not the hardcore World War II grand strategy simulation live and breathe and die by Hearts of Iron. I'm not that player. So on the surface, I think it's a good comparison side by side. But those things that I talked about that I would like to see in Hearts of Iron 4, particularly the chain of command, particularly all of this stuff. I mean, it's just overwhelming, the stuff that you can do, and I like the choices. I like the directions you can take your country for sure. But unfortunately, that's going to do it for me and this series of Hearts of Iron 3, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. If you have been with me in every episode, it was a learning curve for sure. I've grown in appreciation of Hearts of Iron 3. I understand it a little bit better than when I started. And when Hearts of Iron 4 comes around in my playthrough, I'll take what I learned from Hearts of Iron 3 and try to apply it as best I can. But hopefully by then we will be the Great Britain, and we will be much bigger than this island. We'll have a lot of Europe under our belt. We'll have into Yugoslavia. It'll look different for sure if the game saves transfer. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That'll do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for tuning into the series, and I will see you hopefully in another series sometime soon. Take care.